Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet these lacy wrist cuffs. This is another super fast, super easy pattern. We're going to start with the lower wrist cuff. There are only 5 rows in the body, and then we have the trim row on the top. Now these can be made with or without the finger loop. This is what they look like on the hand, and I like the finger loop because it keeps everything in place. There's no worries about it rolling, scrunching, or turning around on the wrist. These are very cute, very comfortable. They do have a button close on the side for a nice snug fit around the wrist. I have used a round bead for my button. It's easier that way for me to fasten it with my free hand. But you can use regular buttons if you like, or I did design this with an even number of spaces in the cuff, so if you wanted to weave a ribbon through there, just going under and over these double crochet posts, and then make it a ribbon tie close, that would be very cute as well. So let's get started with these. For yarn today, I will be using, this is Red Heart Super Saver Metallics, and I am obsessed with these right now. They're very sparkly. This red I feel like is very festive as well. I will also be using a 5mm crochet hook. That's a US size H. And then lastly, you will need either 2 beads, 2 buttons, or 2 lengths of ribbon to secure them at the wrist. If you're using beads, just make sure that that hole is big enough to get a loop of yarn through. We are going to start by chaining 27. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. Now these last 3 chains that you made are going to count as a double crochet and a chain 1. The 4th chain is going to be skipped, and we are going to be working our first double crochet in this 5th chain from the hook. So yarn over and then count 1, 2, 3, 4, and place your double crochet in that 5th chain. And then chain 1, skip 1 chain, and double crochet in the next chain. Like that. And again, you're going to chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the next one. And you're going to continue working like this all the way to the other side. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next one. And if you come back to the beginning, you can see these 4 chains here. There's a skipped one, 2 for the double, 1 for the chain. And then we have got a chain stitch between each double crochet post on the bottom and a chain stitch between each double crochet post on the top as well. And when you get to the other side, that last stitch will also be a double crochet. And once you get back to your starting point, you should have a total of 12 chain 1 spaces, including that first one that you formed with your start chain. So now we are going to be working a border all the way around the cuff. and placing our button and buttonhole on either end. So you're going to go ahead and chain 1 for your turn stitch, and then turn your work, and we are going to work 2 single crochets in each one of those chain 1 spaces. So you'll single crochet 1, single crochet 2 in that first space, and then in the next space we have 1 and 2, and then 2 in the next space. And you're just going to continue working like that all the way back to the other side, placing 2 single crochets in each one of those chain 1 spaces. And when you get down to the end, you're going to want to also put 2 single crochets in that last chain space. And then we're going to work right around the end. So chain 1 for your turn stitch. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet. And this is where we are going to put our button. So go ahead and pull that loop out, remove your hook. And we are going to thread the bead right onto this loop. I'm just using a piece of wire. And I'll get my bead in there and pull that down on the loop, and then I can get rid of the wire. And once your bead's on the loop, you can go ahead and replace your hook, pull that loop down tight, and we're just going to work 1 slip stitch to secure that bead on there. And then the same thing that we did on the other side, we're going to do 1 single crochet and a chain 1 for our turn stitch. And then we are also going to put that first 2 single crochets in this space because it's the first space. Like that. And now our bead is on, and then same thing on the other side. We're just going to work 2 single crochets in each one of these chain 1 spaces all the way back to the other side, and then we will be making the loop for our bead. So when you reach the other side, same thing, you're going to put 2 single crochets in that last stitch there, or space, sorry. And then for this end, the same thing, we're going to chain 1 for our turn. We're going to put 1 single crochet, and then for the loop, I'm going to use 5 chains. You might need more depending on what kind of bead or button you're using. But I have chained 5, and then I am just going to peacock this back into the base of that single crochet. And then same thing on the other side, we'll do 1 single crochet, a chain 1 for that turn stitch, and we're just going to slip stitch right back to this first single crochet that we made to finish that cuff. Like that. And now we've got a nice little loop for our bead to go through. Now you're going to chain 2 for our turn, and we're going to skip over these first 2 single crochets, and we're going to place a double crochet in the third one, and this is actually going to be a V stitch. So we're going to double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet back into that same stitch. That's a V stitch. And then the same thing again, we're going to skip the next 2, and we are going to work another V stitch in the third one. So there's a double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet in that same stitch. So you can see that we've got 2 skip stitches here, 2 skip stitches here, and then the 2 V stitches. And you're just going to continue working those down to the other side. So when you make it back to the other side, you'll have 3 stitches remaining, and you are going to skip 2 and place 1 single or double crochet, in that last stitch. All right, so we have a post, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 V stitches and another post. And now we are going to close this into a round. So go ahead and fold it around, and we are going to slip stitch into the second chain of that beginning chain 2, just to form a circle. Like that. And then we are going to chain 4 this time. So with our first V-stitch, we did a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Now we are going to do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So our first 2 stitches count as the double crochet, and the next 2 count as the chain 2. And then we're going to double crochet back into that same chain stitch that we're already in. And now there is the V-stitch with 2 chains in the center. And then you can go ahead and locate your next chain 1 space from the next V-stitch and go right into that space. And the same thing, we're going to double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet in the same stitch. And in the next chain 1 space, again, double crochet, chain 2 this time, and then double crochet in the same space. And you are going to work those all the way around, always in the space of the V-stitch below it, so they line up nicely. And when you get around to the other side, I will show you how to join each row. So when you make it back to the other side, same thing, we're just gonna slip stitch back into that second chain of your beginning chain 4. Just slip stitch in there to close that round. And we want to be in the center of this V-stitch. So we're going to go ahead and work another slip stitch into that next chain stitch there. So now that we're in the middle of the V-stitch, we can start our next V row. And this time we are going to be working a chain 3 between them. So we started with a chain 1, the last row was a chain 2, and this row is going to be a chain 3. So we're going to chain 5. The first 2 count as our double crochet, and then the next 3 will be the chain 3 space between them. So do your chain 5 and then double crochet back into that space that you're in, like that. And then in the center of your next V-stitch, the same thing. We're going to double crochet, chain 3, and then double crochet back into the same stitch. There's 3 chains and my other double crochet. And you're going to continue working those all the way around, just double crochet, chain 3, double crochet in each one of those spaces. And when you get to the other side, again, slip stitch into the second chain of your start chain, and you can count from the other side, just count those 3 and then place your slip stitch in that next one so that there are 3 chains in between them. And go ahead and work another slip stitch into the next chain again to place us in the center of that V. And on this row, we are going to use 4 chains in between our double crochets. So we're going to start with a chain 6. See, we did 1 chain, 2 chains, 3 chains. Now we have 4. That's 2 chains for our double crochet and then an additional 4 for the space between them. And then double crochet back into that same space that you're in. And then go ahead and locate your next V-stitch, double crochet, chain 4, and double crochet into the same stitch. When you finished that row, you're going to do just like we've been doing and slip stitch back into that second chain of your start chain. And this time we are going to also slip stitch into the next 2 chains in order to put us back in the center of that V. If I can locate the second chain here. It's this one. There's our second slip stitch. And now that we're back in the center of this V, we can start the next row. And we did 1, 2, 3, 4 chains. This row we are going to be doing 5 chains between our double crochets. So we are going to chain 7. That's 2 chains for our double crochet and then another 5 for the space in between them. And then go ahead and double crochet back into that same space again, like that. And locate your next chain 4 space, and same thing, double crochet 1, oh, if I can keep my hook in there, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then double crochet back into that same space. This is what it will look like, and as you stretch these out a little bit, it will kind of pull those double crochets together so they look more like V's. And you're just going to continue like you have been, working these all the way around, double crochet, chain 5, double crochet. And when you make it back around, again, just slip stitch into that second chain of your beginning chain 7. And this next row is going to be the last row, the trim row. So you're going to chain 1, and then we are going to be working 3 single crochets, a chain 2, and then 3 more single crochets in each one of these chain 5 spaces. There's 1 single, there's 2 singles, there's 3 singles, and then chain 2, and then 3 single crochets on the other side. There's 1, there's 2, and there is 3. And you can see that those chain 2s that we made make a nice little point here. And we're going to do the same thing in the next 2 chain 5 spaces, single crochet 3, chain 2, and then single crochet 3 more on the other side. And then in the third one as well, same thing. We're going to do 3 single crochets. There's 2, there's 3, chain 2, and then 3 more single crochets on the other side. And we are going to put the finger loop in the next chain 5 space. So there's 1, 2, 3 loops here. And in this fourth one, just like we have been, go ahead and work 3 single crochets. There's 2, there's 3, and then I'm going to chain 12 for my finger loop. Depending on the size of your hand, you might need to use more or less chains, but 12 is just right for me. So chain 12, and then same thing on the other side, just like we have been. You're just going to work 3 more single crochets. There's 2, and there is 3. Now we have our finger loop on, and that is 1, 2, 3. This is in the 4th loop, and you will have 4 loops remaining in the round, and in each of those 4 loops you are just going to keep doing the same thing that you did with the first 3 single crochet, chain 2, 3 single crochet. And when you make it back to the other side, go ahead and slip stitch into that first single crochet that you made. And after that, you can go ahead and tie that off, weave in both of your ends because this glove is finished. Now you will need to make 2 of these for a pair, and you will notice on this one that the finger loop from the start point is offset. We have 3 points on one side and 4 points on the opposite side. So when you do the second glove, you're going to want to put that finger loop not in the 3rd stitch or the 4th stitch like we have here, but in the 5th one so that that offset is even on each hand. And the offset finger loop is what causes the button to set on the side of the wrist rather than in the center. And the great thing about these is that they look exactly the same when you turn them out. So once they are finished, you will be able to determine what side you want your button to be on, if you want it to set on the outside or the inside of the wrist, simply by turning them inside out. Now let's talk a little bit about sizing. These gloves are a size small, and minor size adjustments can be made to these simply by going up or down a hook size. If you need further size adjustment, this starting cuff can be worked in any multiple of 2 plus 3. So I used 24 plus 3 for a total of 27, but you could also do 26 plus 3, 28 plus 3. Just keep in mind that every increment of 2, you will be either adding or omitting 1 space in the cuff and also 1 V-stitch in the body of the glove. You can also make adjustments just to the body of the glove simply by changing the number of chain stitches that you used between each of these double crochets in the V's. So if you find that the cuff fits around your wrist good, but you need a little more room at the widest part of your hand or around the fingers, you can always just adjust those, maybe do 2, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You do want to stick with 5 at the top so that your trim measures up, but you could also do 2, 3, 3, 4, and 5. Make those adjustments wherever you need that extra room at. Another thing to keep in mind when you're sizing these is the placement of the buttonhole or the ribbon, if that's what you're using. Anytime you start with an even number of spaces, you will also have an even number of points on the top. This is going to offset your finger loop and leave your button close on the side of the wrist. If you have an odd number of spaces, you will also have an odd number of points. That's going to leave your finger loop in the center of the glove, and it's also going to put your button close in the center of the wrist. If you're using a ribbon, odd numbers are also going to offset that spacing and your ribbon won't weave through them evenly, so keep that in mind. That's it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you are interested in more fast, free patterns, visit my channel and check out these peekaboo fingerless gloves, or learn how to make one of these lacy V-stitch Bic lighter pouches. If you want more free patterns, fun stitch tutorials, and clever crochet gift ideas, please also hit that subscribe button to stay updated on future content here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. That's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you want more fast, free patterns, please visit my channel and check out my peekaboo fingerless gloves, or learn how to make one of these lacy V-stitch Bic lighter pouches. If you want more free patterns, fun stitch tutorials, and clever crochet gift ideas, go ahead and hit that sub button as well to stay updated on future content. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.